right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to welcome you to our stream. This is your host of the evening, DJ Just Jay with Just Dom TNT, representing the Soto Podcast. As you guys know, we advocate for children first. We're getting ready to talk about a couple of people out of a place that I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this place before, right? It is called Surprise, Arizona. That is why I have the title Surprise, Surprise. So what we're going to talk about not only is Surprise, Arizona, but we're also going to talk about the surprise and the things that this mother and this stepfather, remember that dynamic? We talk about that a lot. We're going to tell you guys about what they did and what they put their kids through. We're getting ready to talk about that here in a minute. If you guys would, please click that thumbs up. It'll share our stream. Let everybody know that we're telling this story. All right. Now, police say that they have arrested a man they suspect of aggravated assault and child abuse involving his teenage stepdaughter. I've told you guys before, for the ladies that date men that are not the biological fathers of your children, it is very dangerous to have them around your children. And in this case, the fact that this was a teenager and this dude was not a reputable person makes me very, very worried about what else possibly was going on. Like, dudes like that tend to kind of take advantage of these young girls in their very, very vulnerable age, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, during this particular investigation, detectives learned a man by the name, or I use that term loosely, man, Isiah Jackson. That guy that you see on the screen right there, he is 37 years old, and he said that he was shooting birds. Actual shooting birds. I don't even know if that's even legal to do, but maybe you guys can tell me. From the home's roof near 136th Avenue and Watson Lane on April the 30th. Can you even do that? I don't know if you can just shoot birds outside. I don't think you could do that. But he brought the long barrel pellet gun back into the house to fix the scope on the gun and spoke to the victim about her chores. Again, this is the 13-year-old daughter of the woman that they are claiming to be his wife, okay? But which were not finished. So he was talking to her about some chores which she hadn't done. Now, Jackson opened the gun and closed it with the barrel pointed at the girl when it went off. I'm going to read that part one more time. This big, ugly idiot right here had a pellet gun and pointed it at a 13-year-old girl's chest. Opened the gun and closed it with the barrel pointed at the girl's chest when it went off. Did everybody catch that? The 13-year-old girl, of course, was shot in the chest at close range. She was transported to an area hospital and had to undergo emergency surgery for a pellet wound that was near her heart. So he almost killed her. Okay? Now, the Maricopa County Superior Court statement filed this week says the girl is in stable condition. Thank God. So the 13-year-old girl that was shot almost in the heart is in stable condition currently following surgery for a pellet wound near her heart. Now, we got a lot more information to tell, so I'm going to try to be really quick and tell this, okay? Now, during the event, police say that Jackson, the dude, was unable to find his phone and asked his brother-in-law to call 911, which doesn't make sense. So that means that there was potentially another person in this house, from my understanding. But anyway, in the report, the officer stated, while on 911, Isiah left the victim and went upstairs to find his phone. I could hear dispatch advising Isiah he needed to be with the victim to conduct CPR for it to work. Isiah made the statement he was upstairs. Okay? Now, when the fire department crews arrived at the scene, they had to cut the girl's clothing. Do you guys know what they found? When they cut this 13-year-old girl's clothing to try to give her CPR. Initially, they said they found a hot dog, which I believe was a corn dog. Now, why are we talking about food and why are we talking about a hot dog or potential corn dog? Well, that's the basis of this story, which is what caused this man to be in the position that he's in, okay? There was a hot dog or a corn dog, whatever it was, there was food that was found in her pants. This is a 13-year-old girl who is the daughter of this chick, which we're getting ready to talk about here in a moment. One would have to ask, well, why did she have food in her pocket? Okay, well, of course, I'm going to tell you why. In the report, the officer stated, when questioned about it, the victim advised to a nurse and a social worker that she was shot on purpose with the pellet gun by her stepfather for eating food. I want you guys to look at his face. You guys can clearly tell that this is a big, huge man. He's a fat dude. Clearly, he ain't never missed a meal. And he don't look like he's missed a meal in the afterlife, in his previous life. He's a huge dude. From what the 13-year-old girl said, and I don't have any reason to believe why she was lying, she said that she was shot on purpose by him for her possessing food. Do you want to know how we got to that point? Okay, let's move on. Per court records, the girl stated Jackson caught her eating something. Per court records, the 13-year-old girl stated that him, this dude right here, Ayzia Jackson, caught her eating something she should not have and told her to hold up a shooting target. You guys know what a shooting target is, right? Okay. Now, Ayzia advised the victim next time, right before shooting the pellet gun, Ayzia advised the next time he would tase her. Okay? Now, police said the 13-year-old girl who was shot was not being fed and had to steal food. I don't know if you guys know about the story that I told you guys about when I used to have difficulty when I was first getting out on my own and trying to be a man and trying to feed myself. And there were days where I literally just could not afford sometimes to buy something as simple as food, right? I know those hunger pains. So nowadays, when I run into people, if they ask me to help them get something to eat, if I have the means to, which 99% of the time I do, I always try to help somebody else eat because I know what those hunger pains are like, right? Some of you guys might out there understand where I'm coming from. Some of you guys out there in the chat, I'm watching you guys type right now. Some of y'all have been through some things. Some of you guys have had some struggles. People that are in a good position right now weren't always in a good position. Some of my people in the chat are currently in some positions that maybe aren't in their best, at their best right now. We've all gone through some things, right? Now, she had to steal food inside of a house that she lived in. Thank you. I like what you said. That was ridiculous. And my brother Stram said it. She was desperate. Absolutely. She had to steal food when she was not being fed, and she got in trouble for it. So what he did was he took a pellet gun and shot her in the chest and almost killed her and shot her almost in the heart, that she had to have emergency surgery. Now, she was found with a corn dog in her pants when she was being treated after being shot. And that's what police said. There's a bit more to read here. Now, during the interview, police said Jackson, the dude, would not admit to shooting the victim on purpose. Now, this is what he said. He also claimed that the girl steals food and eats out of the trash. He said that she steals food and eats out of the trash. Okay, that's what he's saying. Jackson admitted to bringing targets inside the home, but wasn't able to tell detectives where they were located. Now, back at the house, the girl's mother, which we're getting ready to talk about here in a moment, she came home, and police say, which is why we're getting ready to talk about her. Let me get her picture up on the screen so you can see her right here. Police say that this woman refused to speak with officers, and she packed a suitcase. She left the residence with 3 younger children. So that means there were more children in the house. Several hours after the incident, after her daughter was shot in the chest by that thug over there. If you date thugs, you date death, right? We've talked about this. Several hours after that incident, she went to the hospital where her daughter was at without her children. All right? I'm going to say that again. She left the residence with 3 kids. Several hours later, she arrived at the hospital without the children. Now, according to court records, 7 kids lived with the couple, but when police interviewed the kids, there were only 6 of them, and they said Jones didn't warn them or didn't want them to mention the youngest child. Can somebody click that like button for me? It'll share our stream and let other people know that we're live telling this story. This story actually has a positive outcome, so if you guys would, please hit the thumbs up, okay? I'm going to read that part again. According to court records, there were 7 children that lived with this couple. But when the police interviewed the kids, there were only 6 of them. And they said that Jones, the woman, the mother, didn't want them to mention the youngest child. After the shooting on April the 30th, the family denied the existence of the 1-year-old, police said, and Jones also refused to talk to police and took the 3 kids with her. Okay? Now, we're getting ready to get on to her case because I'm pretty sure that you guys might not be surprised, but there is a whole lot more I'm getting ready to expose about that woman. Now, the court records say that the family has a history of child abuse reports. Now, who's surprised about that? I'm sure none of you are, right? They have a documented history of abuse reports. Later that day, the children were located. So they found the kids and took them to the child welfare office, and now they are in custody. So that's good for the children. They are alive and they are well. Now, police spokesman Sergeant Tim Clarkowski said his department received a call that a teenage girl had been shot at home, possibly with a pellet gun. The 13-year-old girl slept in a room by herself under deplorable conditions. Now, some people might be wondering, what does deplorable mean? Well, deplorable is an adjective used to describe something extremely bad or unfortunate, like the deplorable destruction and loss of life in Japan after the earthquake and tsunami. That's a hell of a way to describe deplorable. Now, deplorable is a very poor condition or quality, bringing or deserving severe rebuke or censure, or bad or unfortunate. Okay? So that's so you guys understand how bad this actually was. Now, the documents don't list a defense attorney who would comment on the charges against Jackson. Now, he is arrested on suspicion of aggravated assault and child abuse. But wait, guys, it gets worse. How many of you guys want to hear the rest of this? Do you guys want me to keep going, or do you want me to stop right there? I'll wait until you guys tell me in the chat what you guys think. Because there's a lot more. Because we just talked about the man so far, the stepdad. This woman brought her kids around a dude that is not the father of it. I don't know how many. They said 7 kids. I don't know how many she already had or how many he had with her or how this even came about. They haven't specified, nor do I think it's even necessary. They're just bad people. You said keep going? Okay. People are saying keep going, keep going. Okay, here we go. I'll tell you the rest of it. When Jackson was taken into custody, police reports state that Jackson would not admit to shooting the victim on purpose, but did advise she steals food and eats it out of the trash. Now, Jackson's cousin by the name of Jimmy Buntley, he said him and his family were shocked to learn about the arrest. Now, listen to what this fool said, his cousin. I hope they all pull together and everyone gets the help that they need. Let's keep going. I was like, wow, okay, just surprised because that's not my cousin. Investigators later searched the home where Jackson lived. And I want you guys to keep in mind, they already had a history of abuse allegations. Now, police say the room where the young victim was sleeping was noticeably different from the rooms where the other children slept. While the other rooms had what they described as high-end furniture, decorations, clothing, and toys, the 13-year-old girl's room, what they call the victim's room, had a lock on the outside of the door, an alarm, a bunk bed with one mattress, one blanket, one sheet, one pillow with no pillowcase. The other kids had high-end furniture, decorations, clothing, and toys. The 13-year-old girl, which clearly is not his based on how he treated her, her room had a lock on the outside of the door, as well as an alarm, one bunk bed, one mattress, one blanket, one sheet, one pillow, no pillowcase. Now, why would a lock be on the door? Obviously, that's to prevent her from being able to exit that room. Let's keep going. Investigators also say that the room had a very heavy odor of human urine. The floor was saturated with urine. Keep in mind, this is a little girl, okay? Buntley, his cousin, Isaiah Jackson's cousin, said he treats all the kids the same. They all get treated the same. They all get the same stuff. That's his cousin saying that. Police said that the victim has not been to school for 3 years. I told you guys it's about to get worse. Her family members told police she is taking, quote unquote, online classes and does not have any friends. Okay? She wasn't in school for almost 3 years. That's unfortunate. And she was kept in her room like that. But again, very little contact from her. And this is coming from Sebastian Robinson, who lives next door. To be quite frank with you, I have seen her. She said hello from her window before, so it's not like she hasn't been seen. Oh, Sebastian. But like I said, is it Sebastian's responsibility? Technically, no. But I just wish that he would have picked up more that something was wrong. I wish he would have been able to know, like, instinctively that something was wrong. But maybe he just missed it. But let's go on. All right? Now, her family also said that the victim had no personal items in her room due to her parents removing her belongings after finding food hidden in her belongings. They found her hiding food because they didn't want her to eat. While this dude looks like he is about 413 pounds, let's keep going. Investigators say that several of the children were placed in foster care in 2010 between 2013 due to physical abuse allegations. I'm going to read that part again. Investigators say that several of the children were placed in foster care in 2010 to 2013 for 3 years due to physical abuse allegations. Did everybody catch that? Now, let's talk about this weave-wearing woman right here by the name of Ayzia Jones, right? The wife, the self-proclaimed wife of this fool, Isaiah Jackson. Let me get her picture back on the screen because we're getting ready to talk about her. Right there. The wife of the man who was allegedly shot his stepdaughter in the heart with a pellet gun, she has now been arrested. On May the 2nd, police arrested her by the name of Ayzia, A-Y-Z-I-A, Sierra Jones, age 33. As you can see her in court right there. And they arrested her for abuse and interfering with child protection. Investigators say that several of the children that were placed in foster care in 2010 to 2013 due to physical abuse, that's a new word, physical abuse allegations. When Jones came to the hospital, none of her 6 children were with her. When officials went to take custody of the children, that broad right there that you see on the screen, I'm going to back that up so we can keep her picture on the screen just for a little bit longer. When she showed up to the hospital to check on her daughter, she didn't have none of the 6 kids with her. So when they asked her, she refused to give them information regarding the children's location. She later reported providing them with 5 out of the 6 children. And the 6th child was given over to officials on May the 1st. Investigators conducted surveillance on the home and allegedly found the 7th child, a 1-year-old, staying at a friend's house. It was not until confronted with that information that she admitted to actually having the 7th child. I want you guys to think about that this broad had 7 kids. And she's been going through this abuse allegations since 2010 for almost 10 years. I know this is a lot to take in right now, but just hear me out. Court records show that the original 13-year-old victim is in stable condition. Police said that, again, right there, that's the court document. Ayzia Sierra Jones and her husband padlocked their daughters in a room that smelled of urine. They locked her in the room. Parents also deprived the girl of food. That's coming from the police. She wasn't in school for almost 3 years. Now, this is what Becky Ruffner said from the Prevent Child Abuse organization, a nonprofit organization. She said, "Our child welfare system is not perfect." And she's the executive director of Prevent Child Abuse, a nonprofit organization. And the people who work in it, as you say, do their very best to try to keep the kids safe, but there are severe limitations to what the child welfare system can do. And I've told you guys that it is not the responsibility of CPS or the Child Protection Agency, the police, or anybody else to care for these children. The people that brought them into this world, it is their responsibility. This broad and that dude, because that's who she chose to lay down with and have up in the house, this fat fool right here. Now, the mother faces 2 counts of child abuse, 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of unlawful imprisonment, and 1 count of custodial interference. Jones faced the judge, as you guys saw from the photos, and she tried to get a lower bond, saying that she wanted to go to a DCS hearing for the kids. I'm going to read that part again, and I want to know what you guys think about this. The mother, I need her face back up on the screen. Ayzia Sierra Jones faced the judge and tried to get the judge to lower her bond, saying that she wanted to go to a DCS hearing for her kids. Keep in mind that the kids, or some of the kids, were already removed from her custody for 3 years, from 2010 to 2013, for abuse allegations. Okay? Now, however, the judge set her bond at $150,000 secured bond, and said the court date was the same time as the DCS hearing. Her focus is on herself and not her children. Those are my words, that last part. Her focus is on her and not her kids. That's why I have a problem with it. All right? Now, what's also sad is that more people will have a problem with what I say about this ignorant broad and that fat turd that you guys just seen on the screen a minute ago. More people will have a problem with how I described them and what race they were. They'll have a problem with me and what I said rather than having a problem with what these parents actually did to these kids. You guys understand where I'm coming from? I get emails. I get comments in the comment section of people just upset about what I said, but they're not upset about Ayzia Jones, and they're not upset about what Isiah Jackson did to this innocent girl that could not defend herself. I get more emails with people outraged about me and my focus on the stories about quote unquote non-whites over the major fact that these people are harming children. Guys, that is the principal reason why these children keep getting overlooked, because the black community outrage is directed in the wrong place. All right, let me go ahead and play this video and start our fair usage, and we can go ahead and start with the news videos. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. All right, guys, I want to say thank you to, I saw 2 people donating the super chat. I want to say thank you to the people that did that. If you want to use super chats, you can. If you're going to send a large amount, send it by way of the links in the description box. But if you send small amounts, you can always do those through super chat if you want to. Let me say thank you to Tasha Nicole. Said just wanted to give a little, and she sent us. She took on the $2 challenge by way of Venmo. So I want to say thank you, Tasha, if you're listening, sweetheart. Let me also thank a couple more people real quick before we move on to these news stories. Mark Adams. If Mark Adams is still in the chat, I want to say thank you to Mark. And Mark took on the $5 challenge. Let me see if Mark left a message. I don't know if he did or if he did not. Let me see. He did not. So thank you if you're listening, Mark. And this one comes from, says, keep up the good work. Donna Smith, if you're listening, thank you very much. She took on the $5 challenge. And let me see who this is. Jermaine, I'm not going to say your whole name, but Jermaine took on the $10 challenge. So thank you guys so far. If you guys want to click those links, feel free. Let's go ahead and start the news. Let's go.
And a little girl is in the hospital tonight after her stepfather shot her with a pellet gun. This horrifying incident led to another shocking discovery inside their home in Surprise.
Detectives say it appears the girl was living in her own filth. Well, the stepfather is now at the Lower Buckeye Jail on felony child abuse and aggravated assault charges. That is where we find Kim Powell tonight. She's live with more on this disturbing report. Kim?
Yeah, according to this report, Isiah Jackson shot his 13-year-old stepdaughter because he caught her stealing food. But also in these documents, it describes how this girl was left out of other things that her 6 siblings got to enjoy.
To be quite frank with you, I have seen her. She has said hello from her window before.
Sebastian Robinson is now thinking twice about those moments when he saw a 13-year-old girl waving at him from a window. He lives next door to Isiah Jackson, who was arrested after the girl told nurses at the hospital her stepfather shot her with a pellet gun on purpose.
They kindly told me that it was a domestic problem that happened in a home and it was isolated.
Robinson wasn't expecting the disturbing report, which he admits was too hard for him to read. According to the court paperwork, Jackson told the girl to hold up a target after he caught her eating a hot dog. The pellet pierced the outer layer of her heart and she was rushed to the hospital. The documents state that Jackson told the girl he would tase her next time. Detectives went inside of the home and discovered the girl's room had a lock on the outside and what appeared to be an alarm system. They say her room smelled like urine and she had no personal belongings, unlike her other 6 siblings who had what detectives describe as high-end furniture, decorations, clothing, and toys. Her uncle told police she would get in trouble anytime she was caught stealing food. Also, according to the report, the 13-year-old was pulled out of school 3 years ago.
She wasn't in school for almost 3 years, and you know, that's unfortunate that she was kept in her room like that. But again, it was very little contact from her, very few times that I had seen her.
I can almost guarantee you that Isaiah Jackson is probably not the father. So hashtag, where's the father of this girl? I would love for him to come out and speak out on this. And somebody said the mother failed her. Hashtag the mother failed her. Yes, she did. Absolutely did. And hashtag, when you date thugs, you date death. Yes, absolutely.
Now, Surprise police tell us that there has been a history of domestic violence with this family, but right now it's not clear if those other 6 children are in protective custody or if they're with other family members. We'll be sure to bring you those updates as soon as we get them. For now, reporting live from the Lower Buckeye Jail,
Here's the next video.
Behind this door, Surprise police describe a house of horrors.
When I read that and heard that, I cried. Oh, I just cried, broke my heart.
Police were called out to this home after Isiah Jackson allegedly shot his 13-year-old stepdaughter with a pellet gun. Jackson was arrested for the shooting, but after obtaining a search warrant, police found that Jackson and his wife...
Look how big that dude is. He don't miss no meals. Do y'all... Hashtag, do y'all see this fat... He starved a 13-year-old girl. This dude ain't never missed a meal in his life. That is a huge dude. Get the freak out of here. You gotta be kidding me.
Jackson allegedly shot his 13-year-old stepdaughter with a pellet gun. Jackson was arrested for the shooting, but after obtaining a search warrant, police found that Jackson and his wife had been keeping the girl padlocked in a room that smelled strongly of urine and had been depriving her of food.
You want a child, you're supposed to nurture it and not keep it up like a dog.
The girl...
I like what she said. Let's hear what she said again.
And
food.
You want a child, you're supposed to nurture it and not keep it up like a dog.
Let's listen to what she said one more time.
Want a child, you're supposed to nurture it and not keep it up like a dog.
And what's funny is that's just basic human instinct. You're supposed to treat your children well. Give them the best that you possibly can. Give them as maximum support as you possibly can. And these people ain't even... These people are... You wouldn't even treat a dog... Like, they would give this dude more time in jail if he would have did this to a dog. Y'all understand that? If he would have locked a dog in a room, the dog peeing and crapping all over itself, locked the dog in a room for 3 years, not fed the dog, not watered the dog, and then shot the dog in the heart, do you know Peter would be all over this? But people will tell me I'm wrong for calling him a fat turd. Ain't that a bitch?
Girl and 5 other children were taken from the parents by DCS, but police say the mother, Ayzia Jones, didn't give up a 1-year-old child, alleging that she hid the 1-year-old at a friend's house. Surprise police eventually recovered the child and arrested Jones.
Again, the mother, I noticed somebody asked, where's the mom? The mom I have her name in the title. That's Ayzia Jones. That's the mother. The mother put her daughter in this dude's possession. Do you guys understand that? He's the stepfather of her, not the real father. That's her.
The mother, Ayzia Jones, didn't give up a 1-year-old child, alleging that she hid the 1-year-old at a friend's house. Surprise police eventually recovered the child and arrested Jones.
Based on the alleged long history of child abuse involving this defendant, state believes that a significant bond is appropriate.
And according to police, DCS was aware of that long history, which raises the question, why weren't the kids taken away sooner?
Our child welfare system is not.
That's the question I was asking. I'm gonna play that part again. That's the part I've been wondering this whole time.
And according to police, DCS was aware of that long history, which raises the question, Why weren't the kids taken away sooner?
Why weren't the kids taken away sooner? Does anybody have any questions to that? Red to You said we only got 180 thumbs up. Well, we've almost got about 300 people watching. Can we please get the new people that are watching that have not looked down to see if you click the thumbs up? I won't bug you about it anymore, but if you could, just look down and click that thumbs up for me. Make it blue. That'll help us share this stream and let everybody know that we're telling the story of this 13-year-old girl and her 6 siblings. There were 7 children involved in this story. You don't have to click the thumbs up for me, but if nothing else, I want you guys to click the thumbs up because people did just enough that 7 children survived this hell. 7 children lived. This is a success story. I don't want you guys to be sad. I'm just telling you what happened, and I want you guys to be happy that these children lived through it, okay? So if nothing else, click the thumbs up for that.
And the state believes that a significant bond is appropriate.
And according to police,
protect the
DCS
child
was
victims and
aware
victims.
of that long history, which raises the question, why weren't the kids taken away sooner?
Our child welfare system is not perfect, and the people who work in it, as you say, do their very best to try to keep kids safe. But there are severe limitations on what the child welfare system can do.
Limitations that, in this case, led to allegations of severe abuse.
Wow. Let's go ahead and move on to our next video. We got a couple more left.
We are learning more about the surprise man.
Let me turn that down just a little bit. My audio gets off a little bit sometimes. Sorry about that. All right, here we go, guys.
We are learning more about the surprise man police say shot his stepdaughter with a pellet gun on Tuesday.
That girl is recovering from surgery as 37-year-old Ayzia Jackson sits behind bars in jail for felony aggravated assault and child abuse. His cousin's coming to his defense saying he's no abuser. Brittany Thomason's live in the newsroom. Brittany.
I want y'all to listen to the cousin. Listen to this bull crap. Y'all have got to see this. Watch. Are y'all listening? Here we go.
That cousin says Jackson is a hard worker who loves his kids, but police records paint a very different picture.
This is the fat turd's cousin saying that he's a good father. Listen to how he describes him.
Brittany.
That cousin says Jackson is a hard worker who loves his kids, but police records paint a very different picture. Detectives called the teen's living conditions deplorable.
It's painting a real bad picture. You know, they should always get all sides of the story.
Jimmy Buntley claims his cousin Ayzia Jackson loves all his kids, including the 13-year-old girl police say Jackson shot in the chest with a pellet gun at a surprise home.
Just like everybody's shocked.
Police records say Jackson's 13-year-old stepdaughter told police her stepfather shot her on purpose for eating food.
Again, this dude's name, his cousin's name is Jimmy Buntley, Buntley. I want you to listen to what Butthead Buntley had to say about his own cousin shooting his stepdaughter in the goddamn chest. Listen at this again.
Jackson loves all his kids, including the 13-year-old girl police say Jackson shot in the chest with a pellet gun at a surprise home.
Just like everybody's shocked.
Police records say Jackson's 13-year-old stepdaughter told police her stepfather shot her on purpose for eating food. The police report says Jackson was shooting birds when he brought the pellet gun back into the house to fix the scope. Jackson told cops he was holding the gun with the barrel pointed at the victim when it went off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
Officers claim the room where the
Man, I'm going to replay this again because if y'all don't get upset about what this dude just said, Butthead Buntley, that's his new name. I'm not hard to find. I don't mind backing my words up. His new name is, can we get a hashtag Butthead Buntley or hashtag Butthead in the chat? Because he'll watch this show. He'll see it. Enough people will share it. He'll hear it. If y'all live in Surprise, Arizona, send it to him. Let him know DJ Just Jay called him Butthead Buntley. Listen to what he said again. I'm gonna play it again.
Pointed at the victim when it went off.
I was like,
listen at this. Is he concerned about the 13-year-old girl being shot in the chest? I thought y'all loved y'all black queens. Butthead Buntley. So we only have selective outrage when it's somebody you love, then all of a sudden you want to protect them at all costs? Listen at this.
At the victim when it went off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
Officer off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
Officer off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
That's not your cousin? They are saying that your cousin shot a 13-year-old girl in the chest because she was stealing food because they wouldn't feed her. You see how fat he is? He probably don't want nobody stealing his juice. He probably don't want nobody stealing his ramen noodles. He probably don't want nobody stealing his chicken. He probably don't want nobody stealing his snacky cakes. Right? He probably don't want nobody stealing his cheesy poofs. For all my South Park people out there. He didn't care nothing about this girl. Listen to this. He didn't say, wow, that's sad. I hope the 13-year-old girl is okay. I hope she pulls through, and that's unacceptable. No, he didn't say anything like that. This is what he said.
The barrel pointed at the victim when it went off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
When it went off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
Keep in mind that Butthead Buntley is talking on a cell phone, so it's not like he was pressured. He could have said anything he wanted to say, and he chose to say, oh, no, that don't sound like my cousin. Well, there is a way to prove that this 13-year-old girl is in the hospital and she had to have heart surgery. There is a way to prove that. So you know that she got shot with a pellet gun. You know that your fat ass cousin had a pellet gun. And you know that your cousin admitted to pointing the gun at her chest and it so-called accidentally went off. You know that there's a padlock on the door. These are things you can prove. And after you heard all of that information, what did Butthead Buntley say? What did Butthead Buntley say? Listen to him again.
Victim when it went off.
I was like, oh, wow, okay. Just surprised because that's not my cousin.
Officer.
That's not his cousin. Good job, black men. Good job. Once again, you could have stood up and made us all proud of you, but no, not Butthead Buntley. No, not him. Not this idiot. No.
Officers claim the room where the teen slept was noticeably different from the rooms where her siblings slept, but his cousin says otherwise.
They treat them all the same. They all get treated the same. They all get the same stuff.
But police say the victim's room smelled like human urine and had a lock outside the door.
I hope they all pull together and everybody gets the help that they need.
For Butthead Buntley, we're gonna rate his effort about how much we feel like he cared about this 13-year-old victim in this situation from A to F. Let's see. I'm going to give him an F. He failed. Butthead Buntley did not give a crap about a 13-year-old innocent girl being shot in the chest with a pellet gun that was literally on the skin of her heart that almost killed her. Good job, black men.
Police say Jackson would not admit to shooting the girl on purpose, but told detectives his stepdaughter steals food and eats out of the trash. Officers also said Jackson has a history of violence. In the newsroom, Brittany Thomason for Arizona's Family.
And that's something you can prove. What was that last part this Brittany Thomason just said? What did she say?
Jackson has a history of violence. In the newsroom, a history of violence. In the news, a history of violence. Officers also said Jackson has a history of violence.
He has a what?
Officers also said Jackson has a history of violence.
The police said what?
Officers also said Jackson has a history of violence.
Which is also something else that you can prove. If the police are saying he has a history of violence, then that means that they have a track record that they can prove what they said. He gets an F for effort. Let's go.
A 13-year-old girl freed from her own mother. Her stepfather, police say, shot her with a pellet gun. He's also been arrested. ABC 15's Carla Navarrete now with the very latest.
Well, police say the way the 6 children were kept inside the home was very different than the way the 13-year-old. The 6 children had nice furniture, nice bedding. The girl kept on a floor mattress in a floor saturated with urine. This is the stepfather of a 13-year-old girl who, according to police, was shot with a pellet gun in the heart a few weeks ago. Now, her mother, Ayzia Jones, is also facing child abuse and imprisonment charges.
If something like this never happened, she might have been trapped there for another year, a couple of years, and we would have never known about it. Again, I've lived here for how many years, and I've never once seen this girl.
Police say the girl was imprisoned in her own home, not sent to school for 3 years. 8 off of dishes she was washing, and a pantry door was kept locked. Police also say once the stepfather was arrested, the girl's mother tried to deny her youngest child, a 1-year-old, in hopes of not turning the baby over to Child Protective Services.
It almost seems unbelievable, but again, you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
In Surprise, Carla Navarrete, ABC 15, Arizona.
Okay, there was somebody that came in and said they missed it. Well, this is only 1 minute long. You can literally be caught up with this entire story if you just listen to this next 30 seconds. So, to the person that said that, what have I missed? I'm going to play it for you. Please listen. Here's the story in its entirety. Here it is. Or it's not in its entirety, but in a nutshell. Here it is.
A 13-year-old girl freed from her own mother. Her stepfather, police say, shot her with a pellet gun. He's also been arrested. ABC 15's Carla Navarrete now with the very latest.
Well, police say the way the 6 children were kept inside the home was very different than the way the 13-year-old. The 6 children had nice furniture, nice bedding. The girl kept on a floor mattress in a floor saturated with urine. This is the stepfather of a 13-year-old girl who, according to police, was shot with a pellet gun in the heart a few weeks ago. Now, her mother, Ayzia Jones, is also facing child abuse and imprisonment charges.
If something like this never happened, she might have been trapped there for another year, a couple of years, and we would have never known about it. Again, I've lived here for how many years, and I've never once seen this girl.
Police say the girl was imprisoned in her own home, not sent to school for 3 years. 8 off of dishes she was washing, and a pantry door was kept locked. Police also say once the stepfather was arrested, the girl's mother tried to deny her youngest child, a 1-year-old, in hopes of not turning the baby over to Child Protective Services.
It almost seems unbelievable, but again, you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
In Surprise, Carla Navarrete, ABC 15, Arizona.
Now, with that 1 minute video, anybody who just came in or came in late, you have been caught up for the most part about what happened. Here's what I want to say again in closing. I think it's absolutely insane the fact that you can prove the fact that that dude, Isiah Jackson, has a record that is probably a mile long. The mother, Ayzia Jones, who put this man, Isiah Jackson, in the position to be able to help abuse those children. The mother lost custody of those children in 2010, between 2013. And then when she gets locked up over this in collusion with that dude, which is what I think they need to start doing more to the mothers that we believe that are involved in these cases, right? Especially in the case of Malia Davis out there in Houston, right? I believe that the mother needs to be locked up. Brittany. Excuse me. Woo. Right? But I think it's crazy the fact that we show so little regard for the children when you guys hear these stories and you understand what these children are going through. They cannot defend themselves against that big old huge dude and that big old huge woman. They cannot speak for themselves. They cannot defend themselves. They cannot clothe themselves. They cannot do any of these things. They can't house themselves. They're children. They depend on us for everything that they get and everything that they need. I'm going to tell you guys something. Unfortunately, it wasn't because of the benevolent neighbors that saw something and said something and caused this girl to be saved. This girl was just lucky. She was lucky that that pellet gun that this fat turd shot her with didn't pierce her heart. Just lucky. Just lucky. She could have died at any point being locked inside of that bedroom. And then just the fact that somebody said it earlier in the chat. There is no accountability in the black community. When somebody like Butthead Buntley, his cousin, won't even stick up and say, wow, that's messed up that he was even accused of this. No, that's not him. That don't sound like him. Like, where is the accountability coming from? It's coming from people like us, people like Soto Nation, people like Tommy Sotomayor, people like Relationship Rehab, people like the Voltron Network. We are stepping out there on a limb and putting ourselves at risk to be able to hold the black community accountable. And people still have a problem with just how we speak about these situations. We want you to speak more about non-whites. Well, why? Do you care more about non-white children than you do your own children? Like, I just don't understand what people's mentality are. It doesn't matter what child you want to advocate for or speak on. As long as you are speaking up and protecting children and advocating for children, I think it shouldn't matter. Race should not really matter when it comes to protecting children, because all children are innocent. Did you guys hear what I said? Hashtag all children are innocent. They're like sponges. They can only learn what you teach them, and they can only do what you allow them. If you mentally constrict these children, it can harm them. If you mentally empower these children, it can enable them to be able to accomplish and do anything in this world, and they can be anything. And then once you produce a responsible citizen of the United States of America, then they can turn around and reproduce that exact same thing. You guys understand where I'm coming from? You guys are always talking about there's not enough good men out here. You guys are always talking about there's not enough good women out here. Well, guess what? Pandorians ought to know this. What's my saying? If you want good men, you have to raise good boys. That is a DJ Just Jay quote. You will not hear that from anybody else. I'm going to say that again. If you want good men, you must raise good boys. In turn, if you want good women, you must raise good girls. If you want good women, you have to raise good girls. They don't just pop up out of nowhere. You have to produce that. That has to be a product of your parenting skills. And that's why it's imperative that we just not continue to keep producing children in this world willy-nilly. We have to care about these children because they cannot speak for themselves and they cannot defend themselves. That is our job as parents. We must step up and do the right thing. I hope the judge throws the book at him and hopefully he don't eat it. And I hope that the judge decides to also throw the book and hold this mother responsible for her negligent parenting for all of these years, and especially in this case because it almost cost her daughter and the rest of her kids their lives. I am thankful to report a positive story. These children are going to live, and they